Welcome to Is It Covered, where we break down real stories and answer the big question, is it covered? Hosted by father and son duo Bruce and Brian Chapman of the J.D. Chapman Insurance Agency. This podcast will help you navigate the world of insurance with stories, tips, and answers that really matter. From personal to commercial coverage, we've got you covered. Now, let's get started.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Is It Covered, the podcast from J.D. Chapman Agency, where we discuss claims and determine if there's coverage or if there's not, or most often, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Today, I have Brian Chapman, and I'm Bruce Chapman, and we have another exciting episode. This one's going to be all about you serve on a board, and the board is sued for certain things. Keep in mind that every claim is different. It's always a good idea if you have a claim, or maybe you potentially think you have a claim, call your agent, discuss it with them a little bit, because everything is subject to it depends.
Yes.
And it's important to know that. So Brian, tell us the story about this would be a not-for-profit adventure, or venture, I should say.
Yep.
And tell us a little background here. What's going on?
Yeah, so picture this, we'll call this person, we'll just call her Karen for our purposes. Yep. Mm-hmm. So Karen is a successful business owner, and she's like really big into giving back to the community. So when there's let's say she loves animals, right? And so there's a local animal rescue, and she decides, I want to volunteer. She loves it. And she goes, oh, you know what? I'd like to sit on the board of this place.
For sure. Huge heart.
Yes. Yep. So she decides that she was able, or she had the time to sit on the board of this non-for-profit. And then, things are going along just fine. And, let's say fast forward 2 years, Karen gets an envelope in the mail, and, it's not a thank you for your time and efforts to further this non-for-profit. It's actually a lawsuit. Somebody either on the board or not on the board is placed a lawsuit against the board that she sits on, the non-for-profit. And she gets named personally in this lawsuit.
As do all the other board members, right?
Every board member that's a part of that would be named in this personally. Mm-hmm. So what, if any, I think a lot of times you're a non-for-profit and you think, well, these things won't happen, or
right.
I've got, there's insurance through the business. It should cover me on this, but that's not always the case, right?
No, not for decisions that boards make.
Right.
So things like, let's say you mismanaged funds, you were on the board, or even a board member did, but you were on there, maybe didn't even have a whole lot of input into that. But as far as mismanaging it, maybe there was money that was going to be put towards a new shelter, and someone made a board decision that says, well, we're going to take that money and invest it in XYZ. I'll use the term Bitcoin because it could be somewhat volatile. Maybe it goes to nothing, and the board members are suing them, saying, "Hey, we can't build our shelter now because of your mismanaged funds, or your in the fact that you didn't do the right thing."
Right.
So by being on a board, there's a lot of decisions that board members make, and it's important to have some kind of coverage for those.
Yep.
So that's where it's called directors and officers coverage comes into play. So what that does is it protects the directors and officers, and it's pretty broad. It covers even oftentimes, they're all a little different, so you got to read the detail, but it'll oftentimes cover past board directors, family members, a lot of people that are associated with that group. So it's very broad coverage.
Interesting.
So you get sued for something along of a decision that you made on that board. This is where your coverage is going to come in. When you serve on a board, probably a pretty good idea to know if they have directors and officers coverage.
Absolutely. And that means a lot of times I think folks think, well, that's only for big boards of big corporations. And that's not the case. I mean,
not at all.
Things can arise out of a smaller, board on a nonprofit or a for-profit for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. A for-profit board absolutely would want directors and officers. And speaking of that, there is another coverage that is kind of piggybacks right on there.
Okay.
So you'd have directors and officers coverage, and then you'd have maybe another piece on there called employment practices liability. So employment practices liability is exactly like it sounds. It would cover you for employment practices that you do, even if they're volunteers, for things, say, like failure to hire, failure to promote, negligent firing, negligent hiring,
right?
Sexual harassment claims,
Right? Yeah.
and those claims and employment practices are more common than directors and officers type claims.
Oh, absolutely.
They do happen.
Right. That's why it's good to talk to an agent who can guide you through these things if you're not familiar.
Absolutely. We had a claim one time where this guy was going around to different school, I think it was different school districts, but it was for different employers. He was 100% not qualified. He'd put in an application, not get hired, and then he would sue them.
Oh, geez.
Yep.
So that's out there. People looking for a quick buck like that.
Not to give anyone any ideas, but
Right.
if you do things like that, your name gets around.
Oh, for sure.
You're there. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess what was the scenario then for Karen? She just...
So she just got a lawsuit, and I guess we didn't really go into detail as to what that lawsuit was, but let's say somebody did sue them because they mismanaged the funds that were provided to them, maybe through a grant or something.
Yeah.
They thought that the grant money was going to go towards building a new shelter, but the board decided to take it and, I don't know, pay a salary to themselves or
Right.
to use it for a different project. And then they were sued.
And then keep in mind, in that case, I think you can grab your gavel. I think that would be covered all day long.
Definitely.
That's what directors and officers is for. Keep in mind that there are deductibles on those.
Yep.
So that you'd have to pay, or a deductible would come out of your settlement.
Absolutely. Well, I think that does it for another episode, unless there's anything else that you'd like to add into this.
No, not.
So if anybody out there is thinking about joining a board, or there's other scenarios that pop up in their life, both personal and business life, and you want to know if it's covered or not, we'd love to break down different scenarios. We like to be challenged. So you can send your questions or scenarios to Brian, Brian, at jdchapmaninc.com. We will respond, and we would love to break down some new, interesting, and exciting claims. So for that, we will call it good, and we'll see you on the next episode, everyone.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Is It Covered podcast. To learn more about how JD Chapman can assist you with all your insurance needs, please visit our website at jdchapmaninc.com or call us at 315-986-4062. JD Chapman, we've got you covered. This podcast provides general information only and does not offer or bind insurance coverage. Coverage cannot be changed or confirmed through this podcast, email, voicemail, or fax. Insurance only takes effect once confirmed by a licensed agent. For specific coverage details, please call us at 315-986-4062. All coverages are subject to the terms, conditions, and exclusions of the issued policy, which may vary by state. This podcast does not provide legal, tax, or financial advice. Please consult a professional for those needs. Links to other sites are provided for convenience. We don't control or endorse their content. Any claims scenarios discussed are hypothetical. Coverage decisions depend on the specifics of each case.